Hello everyone, myself Ansari Safia, Assistant Professor in Physics, JIT Arts, Science and Commerce College for Women, Malegaon. Now this presentation is for FYBSc class, Physics, Paper First, Section 2nd. Now the title is Carnot's Heat Engine. What is heat engine? Any practical machine which converts heat into mechanical work is called a heat engine. Heat engines, in their operation, absorb heat at a higher temperature, converts parts of it into mechanical work, and reject the remaining part of heat at a lower temperature. Now, the conversion of heat into work takes place with the help of substance known as a working substance. In 1824, Sadi Carnot conceived a theoretical engine which is free from all practical imperfection. It has maximum efficiency and it is an ideal heat engine. Now it consists of four parts. First one is cylinder, second source, third sink, and the fourth one is insulating stand. Now figure shows cylinder C, which contains 1 mole of a perfect gas as a working substance. Now the walls and the piston are made up of perfectly non-conducting material, where the base is made up of conducting material. Now piston moves without friction in the cylinder. Now the second one is source. It is source of heat which is kept at a constant temperature T1, from which the engine can draw heat. It has large thermal capacity and any amount of heat can be drawn from it without a change in its temperature. Now the third one is insulating stand, which is made up of perfect insulator on which the cylinder can be placed. When the cylinder is placed on it, the gas can undergo adiabatic process. Now sink, which is cold body and is kept at a constant temperature T2 such that T2 is less than T1. It has large thermal capacity and any amount of heat can be given to the sink without a change in its temperature. Now the working of Carnot's engine involves a reversible cyclic change in the thermodynamic state of a perfect gas. It consists of four operations. First one is isothermal expansion, second adiabatic expansion, third isothermal compression, and the fourth one is adiabatic compression. Now in the first operation, the cylinder is placed on the source of heat H, but due to the conducting base of this cylinder, the gas is in direct thermal contact with the source, so it attains the temperature T1. Now let P1 be the pressure, V1 is volume, and which is represented by the point C. Now the external pressure on the piston is so adjusted that the piston moves outward very slowly and the working substance undergoes expansion. Now the process is very slow, hence the temperature doesn't fall at any stage because the gas is in direct contact with the source. Thus the temperature of the gas remains constant. Now this change is represented by the curve C1, C2. Now the work done by the gas from C1 to C2 is given by Q1 is equal to W1 is equal to RT1 ln V2 by V1. In the second operation, that is adiabatic expansion, now the cylinder is kept on the insulating stand. Now the gas is completely enclosed by insulating surfaces on all sides, and the external pressure on the piston is so adjusted that the gas expands adiabatically and work is done by the gas. In this process, no heat enters or leaves the system, therefore the temperature of gas must fall. Now the expansion is continue till the temperature falls from T1 to T2. Therefore the work done by the gas W2 is equal to R T1 minus T2 divided by gamma minus 1. Now this change is represented by the curve C2 C3. In the third operation, that is isothermal compression, in this operation the cylinder is kept on the sink. Both the sink and the gas are at the same temperature T2. Now the external pressure on the gas is so adjusted that a slow compression of the gas takes place. Since the gas is in direct thermal contact with the sink, and the amount of heat produced Q2 during the compression is given to the sink, and the temperature of the gas remains constant, that is T2. Now this change is represented by the curve C3 C4. Therefore the work done by the gas is W3 is equal to RT2 ln V4 by V3, but it is equal to minus RT2 ln V3 by V4 because V4 is less than V3. In the last operation, the cylinder is placed on the insulating stand again. The gas is completely enclosed by the insulating surfaces on all sides, and the external pressure on the gas is so adjusted that the gas compresses adiabatically till the temperature of the gas rises from T2 to T1 and the gas comes back to its original state C1. Therefore, this change is represented by the curve C4 C1, and after completing these four operations, its original state is restored. Now the work done by the gas during the change or during the adiabatic compression is W4 is equal to minus R T1 minus T2 divided by gamma minus 1. So the cycle C1, C2, C3, C4, C1 is called a Carnot cycle. Now we have to obtain the efficiency of Carnot's engine. Now here the total work done during one cycle is W is equal to W1 plus W2 plus W3 plus W4. Now substituting the values of these, we get RT1 ln V2 by V1 plus RT1 minus T2 divided by gamma minus 1 minus RT2 ln V3 by V4 minus RT1 minus T2 divided by gamma minus 1. Simplifying this equation, we get RT1 ln V2 by V1 minus RT2 ln V3 by V4. Now we have to obtain the efficiency. Efficiency of Carnot engine is the rate of quantity of heat converted into work per cycle to the total amount of heat absorbed per cycle. That means efficiency eta is equal to work obtained divided by heat supplied. Now work obtained is equal to Q1 minus Q2 divided by heat supplied, that is Q1. therefore it is equal to RT1 ln V2 by V1 minus RT2 ln V3 by V4 whole divided by RT1 ln V2 by V1. But for adiabatic chain, we have the relation between temperature and volume, that is TV raised to gamma minus 1 is equal to constant. Now applying this relation to the curve C2 C3, we get T1 V2 raised to gamma minus 1 is equal to T2 V3 raised to gamma minus 1. Also for the adiabatic curve C1 C4, then we get T1 V1 raised to gamma minus 1 is equal to T2 V4 raised to gamma minus 1. Dividing these two equations, we get V2 by V1 is equal to V3 by V4. Now substituting the value of V3 by V4, which is equal to V2 by V1 in above equation, we get RT1 ln V2 by V1 minus RT2 ln V2 by V1 whole divided by RT1 ln V2 divided by V1. Now simplifying this equation, we get efficiency eta is equal to T1 minus T2 divided by T1. Now from this equation, we see that efficiency depends only upon the temperature of the source and the sink, which is always less than unity. It is independent of nature of a working substance. Okay, thank you.